webinar session. Today's topic we have from Tableau Analytics in your hands, and we have a Redington sales consultant, Jerry Paul, who will be taking you through the session. Also, we'd like you to know that Redington Value are the sole distributors of Tableau in the region. We have Ankit and Saurabh on call as well. So any queries you have, I would request you to please put them in the Q&A tab. And towards the end of the session, we will be answering all of your questions. So Jerry, over to you.
Thank you, Bindya. So hi everyone, good morning. And yes, thank you for joining this webinar today. So firstly, I hope that everyone is safe with their families, especially during this unprecedented time of the pandemic that we are in, right? So at the onset, I think Bindya already introduced me, but just let me introduce myself. My name is Jerry Paul. I work as a pre-sales consultant here at Redington, and I'm based out of Dubai. Yes, and I handle Tableau, and today's session is about Tableau, okay? And please feel free to get back to us after the session. Yeah, so let's just get started. So again, like I described, the goal for today's session is to introduce you to Tableau and how leveraging analytics can help your organization make data-driven decisions. So for those of you who aren't aware, for the 8th consecutive year, Tableau has been recognized as a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for analytics and business intelligence platforms, right? But then it's important to know what Tableau stands for, what Tableau is. So Tableau was built on the notion that seeing and understanding data can help people and organizations make better decisions, right? And Tableau's mission has always been to ease the user's journey through self-service analytics. And Tableau helps and supports their customers through a very vibrant and large Tableau community. So when it comes to adoption, it's very easy for the user. And especially at this point of time, it's even more true because Tableau is uniquely positioned to help its customers through this large community that we have. And all of this is possible only because we have a humongous volume of data out there. Now, before I dive into why data is important and why we hear a lot about the fact that data is a new oil, it's the most important resource, I'll give you a brief overview of the platform, which is Tableau, right? So basically, we have 4 components. One is the Tableau desktop. Tableau desktop is where the user, who is a creator, starts building the dashboards or starts performing the analysis. It's meant for the power user. That's where everything begins. The other part of the story is Tableau Prep. Now, Tableau Prep is something that came up as part of a lot of user feedback. Now, most of you are already aware that it takes a lot of time for somebody to prepare the data before they get to start analyzing it. It's fair to say that more than 50% of the time is spent on cleaning and preparing the data, and that's where Tableau Prep comes into the picture. And Tableau has 2 cloud offerings, which is Tableau Online and Tableau Server. Tableau Online is maintained by Tableau themselves. It's hosted by Tableau themselves, in which, in that scenario, the customers do not have to worry about maintenance. They're already on the latest upgraded version of the product, and they receive all kinds of support from Tableau. Tableau Server can be chosen if you have your own virtual infrastructure in place. It can be both on-premise and cloud as well. Right. Now, going back to what I mentioned before. So why is data so important, right? Without data, none of this is possible. So let's look at an example here. I hope you're able to relate to this particular snapshot. See, all of us have planned to go out for dinners, for dining, for dates, and so on and so forth. So this particularly is an example of a restaurant, and when you look it up on your Google browser, these are the reviews that's going to come up for a particular restaurant. Now, you can see a lot of data points here. For example, you could see the ratings given by Zomato, Facebook. You can see the timing, the popular times that the people go to the restaurant. So this basically helps you plan your visit, right? So basically, it's just data out there. But then this particular data is also telling me a story, right? It's telling me that when I should plan my visit, what's the ideal time to plan my visit, and is it really popular among the people, right? So if I were to ask some questions like how good is the restaurant, what time of the day or night should I plan my date, are people really fond of this place, all of that can be answered from this very particular information right out there. Now, this is all the thoughts that go into a common man's from a common man's perspective. If a data scientist or an analyst for that matter, or even a statistician, let's say he works for the store or the restaurant, he could relate to this in a very different way. He would be very interested in the statistics underlying the data. For example, he would be very curious to know what the sample space is, what is the estimate of the population parameter, how does the central tendency of the data looks like. uh, the information that you see here, people typically spend 1.5 to 2.5 hours here, is nothing but your confidence interval in statistics. So then it has got a lot to do with significance, your confidence level, and there goes a lot of jargons out there, which is statistically proven and statistically described. Now, all of this need not occur, or a common man need not be aware of these jargons. So the burning question here is, does a business user or an end user, is he or she capable of telling a story just like an analyst or a data scientist out there? Because we all know the stories are everywhere, right? So you could look at a sales organization and you could have a sales representative tell you things that, I am 95% confident that I'm going to close deals worth 500K to 600K in the next quarter. It could be also with respect to a weather forecasting agency. There's 70% of chance that it'll rain this afternoon. If it's a company like Walmart, they're concerned with their price demand fluctuation. An analyst could very well come up with an insight saying that a 20% reduction in price has increased the demand 2 times for a particular category. So all of these are stories out there. So even while data is important, it's also important to say, or it's important to know how to tell your story with the data. Now that's when Tableau comes into the picture, right? In layman terms, for a business user, if he has to put out a story, if he has to understand what's going on behind his data, he needs something that helps him do so. He needs self-service analytics, in other words. So what I'm going to do right now is tell you a story. I'll put myself in the shoes of let's say, a category manager. Let's take this particular example. I work in a retail store and I have a scenario in place. I hope you can see my screen right now. And for the sake of this demo, what I'd like to do is that. Sorry, Vinay, is there a trouble? I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Jerry, you're audible. There's no disturbance there.
Okay,
Continue.
cool. Yeah. So moving on. So I'm assuming myself to be a category manager, and I work for a retail store, right? And I'm in office today. It's a Monday morning, and I received this from my VP of sales. And he's really concerned with something over here. He is of the opinion that our profits for the company have been consistently low for a long period of time. And he's asking questions like, why haven't we addressed this before? He wants a meeting in another hour, and he even requires the entire team there. Now, this is a really pressing issue, and I've received this in my mailbox today. If I go ahead and open this on my browser, I have this open on my browser. Now this is my company's dashboard. This is something that we monitor on a monthly basis. So I can see all the regions where we've done our business. And if I observe that our profits have been really low for a sufficiently long period of time. If I were to look on regions, if I choose central region, it's still not very good, isn't it? Even though I'm able to make some sales, our profits have been really affected. So this is exactly what my VP is concerned about. He needs me to come up with an insight and an answer as to why this is happening. Now, I have a couple of challenges here, right? The first challenge being that I do not have my team with me right now. I handle a team of analysts and they're not with me and they're attending a different conference. So I'll have to do this myself. So I'm going to try and leverage the self-service analytics capability that Tableau offers and try to see if I can make sense out of the data here. So a good point where I can start is to look at where the data is sourced from. The data details over here helps me understand where the data is sourced from, right? So I'm just going to jump right into that. But then over here, I can see where it's sourced from and where my data is being consumed as well. However, I'm not going to deep dive into those technical aspects because I myself am not a technical person. So a good point for me to jump into is leverage Ask Data. Ask Data for Tableau, as I know it, is an NLP feature, right? It's a natural language processing feature. So it's as easy as asking questions in your browser. For example, since I'm heading a category, I can start by asking what are my sales across categories. Okay. And what pops up is a breakdown of my categories and the corresponding revenues. Now that was a quick start, right? If I wanted to drill down further to my subcategories, I could still do that. Let's say I say across subcategories. So here I'm expanding my search. And I have my subcategories listed as well. Now this is a good start. Now let me go ahead and save this. And you will notice I'm doing all of this on the browser. Now, that's one of the other challenges I have. I do not have the Tableau desktop application installed on my machine. But then it isn't an issue per se, because Tableau allows for web authoring, which essentially means that it gives the user the look and feel and the capability to analyze the data right on the browser. So it's zero footprint. Now, what I see here is exactly how it looks like on a Tableau desktop. So I have my sales here. Then I would really like to have a look at my profits. So I see my profits down there. Tableau has nicely arranged my data for me. I see profits down there, and then all I'm doing is simply drag and drop. And I quickly see some winners and losers. For example, I see the tables over here are really unprofitable. But then there is this question in my head as to whether it's really significant or not. So I can leverage something called as explain data. Now, explain data is nothing but a statistical tool inbuilt in Tableau. It guides the user to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Is something really statistically significant or not? Now, statistics is not something that a business user or an end user understands per se. So explain data does a fabulous job in conveying the message to an end user in layman terms. For example, in this case, it does tell me that there are outliers for this particular subcategory, which is tables. It throws up the extreme or an outlier or a transaction that's sort of odd in a way, so that I can have a deeper look at this. Now, if you think about it, I could take this up with my VP in the meeting that I'm going to have with him, right? So I'm going to keep this for now onto my workbook. And that's that. Let me just rename my sheet because my team needs to know what I'm doing and what I'm trying to achieve, right? So I'll simply rename this as tables are unprofitable. Okay, there you go. So next, it would make sense for me to understand how my business has grown across my geographical space. We have branches across the globe. Um, so I'll start again with my sales. I see sales down there. I see my geospatial data points here. I could see cities, countries, but this time I'm going to leverage Show Me. Now, Show Me is an inbuilt recommendation engine that Tableau has. It's really powerful when it comes to recommending visuals for the user as best suited for a particular analysis. So me as an end user, I do not have to spend time on understanding what's the best visual out there to visualize my data or analyze my data. In this case, it recommends me a chart, a map rather, and I quickly have a map out there. If I do a little bit of formatting, it looks even better, and I bring down my profits here. Yeah, that's better. Now that was quick, right? Because I did not have to do any kind of scripting or coding, which is the case with many other solutions out there. So it's really powerful when it comes to being fast and flexible. Let me just add a border there so that it's more visible. Yeah, that's fine. Now I can see that Chicago here for that matter is it's kind of unprofitable. That's what the visual cue tells me. I could deep dive into the underlying data beneath it. I could opt for downloading or exporting the entire data set concerned with Chicago. But I'll keep that for now. These are things that I can take up with my VP during the discussion. So I'm going to rename this for now. That's sorted. And simply going to rename that as map. Okay, that's fine. Now, having understood what has happened across my branches, or having a fair idea of certain subcategories that are unprofitable, certain regions that are unprofitable for my business, I'd really like to look at my customer level, right? What's happening with my customers? So if I bring out my sales, my profits again, and I see my customers there, I leverage my Show Me feature, and it recommends a Scatterplot for me, right? Now, each data element over here tells me how much profit and sales I've made with each customer, right? And since we already saw that tables were unprofitable, let me bring that out to the filter box so that I can just have a look at tables and what's going on with tables across the branches. So I'm going to select tables, and there I have it. I'll do a bit of formatting here as well. Yeah, maybe increase the size. Yes. So again, with every customer, I'm able to understand how much profit and revenue I made. Right. Now the burning question is, why is it that certain transactions are unprofitable? If you look at these transactions, I've made enough sales with the customer, but then my profits are really down. Right. This is when I try to ask more questions. Maybe I'm not selling enough. That could be one of my hypotheses. So I could choose to have a look at my quantities sold with each customer, and I have the information down there. But then it really doesn't throw me any pattern. I'm not able to understand what's happening behind the scenes. I could simply drag that out of the picture. And maybe one of the other hypotheses that I can come up with is the fact that my discounting practice is not good enough. So I go and search for discounts here if I have that information available. And yes, I do. I have discounts there. I'm simply going to drag that onto my color shelf and have a look at an average discount for a customer, right? I'm not doing any scripting here as well. It's all inbuilt. And I do see a pattern here, right? If you look at a customer here, for example, I have given Victoria as high as 40% discount for the transactions that she's made. Now, as a company policy and as a fact, I know that anything above 20% is not acceptable. So this could be one of the hypotheses, and you could bring this up to my my VP and tie this to the pricing team as well. So this could be a valuable insight that I can add to my organization, right? So I'll keep this. I'll rename this as discounting issue. Okay. Now, one of the other things that I'm interested in at looking at is how my business has fared across time. So if I were to bring up my revenue or sales again and have a look at my date or time, you will notice how Tableau has already put in a built-in hierarchy down there. So for example, I can drill down from a year to a quarter level. I can still drill down to a month level, and it just goes down to a day level as well. But I'm not going to drill down that further. Let me just keep year and month for now. And there I have it. I have years spanned across with the corresponding months, and I already know how much revenue I'm making, right? So what if I wanted to have a look at year-over-year growth? Because that's something that's a key metric that my VP and the management has in our business reviews. But me being a technical person, I do not know again how to calculate those. So I'm simply going to leverage Tableau community here. Remember I talked about this strong community that Tableau has? If I simply Google Tableau YOY growth, it takes me to the community forums wherein hundreds of users are asking questions and they get their queries answered. So over here, I can exactly see how the calculation is being done, how a YOY growth is calculated per se. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing over here. It's just about selecting the inbuilt calculations under my quick table calculation, right? Yeah, and I can choose to keep the marks as well. So that's it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. No calculations per se. I'll rename this YOY growth. And that's it. Now, it would make sense for me to put all of this information onto a holistic view or onto a dashboard. So that my VP understands what's actually going on, and it will probably enable me to ask more questions, or rather open more doors for insights. So let me pull up my sheets here. I'll bring in my map. The fact that we saw tables are unprofitable. Of course, the discounting issue that we saw. And my YOY growth. Yeah, I'll just do a little bit of formatting because I think this is more visible. Yeah, that's fine. Now, what's even more powerful is when you add flexibility and interactivity to the dashboard. When each of these widgets are able to talk to each other in a way. And if I'm able to do that, let's say I start my analysis with Chicago, because I saw that I can see that Chicago is unprofitable. And I choose to see Chicago. I see that it's not just tables. There are more subcategories that I need to be concerned about. For example, here binders, for that matter, is really unprofitable. Now, this is something that I didn't know beforehand. I didn't know about this when I started my analysis. Something that we call as the unknown unknowns. I could still deep dive into that, leverage explain data like I did before, just to understand what's happening behind the scenes. If I choose to see why my profits are unprofitable, why my profits are really low, it does tell me even the transaction that has been there. For example, it tells me there is one particular transaction made with this customer called Henry, wherein I've given a discount as high as 80%. Now 80% is humongous, right? Now this again substantiates our hypothesis when we started off saying that discounting practice needs to be improved. Now, similarly, a lot of doors are opened when you're able to interact with the dashboard. If I simply want to look at tables, I know how many customers are transacted for tables, in which all regions tables are unprofitable, and so on and so forth. Now this is good, right? Now this is something that I can take to my VP, and like he expects, he wants some answers as to why unprofitability has been an issue. So I'm going to save this right now on the browser. Just give me a moment. Yeah, and if I were to go back to my dashboard, I have all of my views and dashboards saved right on this directory. I can go back to my dashboard, and then I'd really like to share this with my team and my VP, right? One of the things that I could do is add a I can tag my VP. As long as he has access to his mails, he has network, he will be notified. So I'm just going to say it looks like a discounting issue. Let's discuss. I post that. So he'll be notified if he has access on his phone. Now that's the other beauty of it. This simply is not restricted to your laptops. You can access the same dashboard, same analysis reports on your phones, iPads, and tablets. I can even choose to download them in these formats, PDF versions, Tableau workbooks, or as images. I can share the same thing with my team. I can simply tag in users. As long as they're part of this site, they'll be notified. Or I can even use a sharing link. I can choose to subscribe the dashboard. If my VP wants to keep track of the growth in business, he can subscribe to the dashboard and he will be well informed in advance. It could be on a monthly basis. You could manage the subscriptions depending on the frequency of subscription you want to have. And of course, you can set alerts as well. Like we mentioned, profitability was an issue in my scenario. I could choose to alert my VP and the management if my profitability falls below a certain threshold. So as soon as that live update happens, the corresponding user will be notified over mail. Now, this is the sort of flexibility and well-informed nature of data that Tableau provides through the reports and analysis, right? I'm going to step out of the role of the category manager. This was the gist of the demonstration of the Tableau platform. Going back to what I was trying to say, in the last 20 minutes or so, I did tell you a story, right? I was able to convince, or I was able to tell a story with the data that I had. Now, I did not have to rely on my analysts or my team rather to get me those reports and analysis that I just did in the last 10-15 minutes. And I did all of that without any coding or scripting, and I did that on my browser. I didn't need to install any applications as well. Now we'll get back to this if you have more questions at the end of the session. Now before we finish this off, as the last bit, I just wanted to address the situation that we are in, the elephant in the room, right? The coronavirus. We're all facing this challenge. We believe that, I believe you have a fair bit of idea now that data-driven decisions and people working together for greater good are the best way through this difficult time. And right now, it's more important than ever to have these resources to answer these critical questions that matter to your organization. I know that businesses are impacted. Coronavirus has hit, and there is a great slowdown. But then what is required is having timely access to your data and even trustworthy data to think quickly and move fast. So if you think about it, everyone's just talking about that curve out there. As time progresses, all we're looking for is to flatten that curve. This is how the entire world has come to understand the actual problem we face with this pandemic. This visualization that you see has come to symbolize not only the pandemic, but but it's the rallying call to action, right? And of course, data will help us see and understand the situation and what actions we need to take, right? So how does Tableau fit in this picture, and how does Tableau help its customers during this pandemic? So I'm very excited to introduce you to the COVID-19 Data Hub. Together with our Tableau community, we have created a free data resource hub page that can help you see and understand the coronavirus data in near real time. What it does, and I hope it does, because we have a lot of use cases, a lot of user feedback, is the fact that it makes you more confident and helps you make more decisions in the context of spreading the disease, right? And we have already have 200,000 views in the first 2 weeks. The good part about this is that you can use this data and ready-made workbooks, right? When I say ready-made, there are already workbooks and models out there. You just need to plug in your company's data and analyze that relative to the COVID-19 data. So it's near real-time prepare and clean data ready for analysis. And just for your information, this data comes from Johns Hopkins University, as well as data from WHO and CDC. Now, I talked about the starter workbooks, the ready-made workbooks. It can be downloaded and viewed along with your own valuable data, such as employee locations and even with how-to guides. So I encourage all of you to go to Tableau Public. Now that's a public site. Anybody can go in there and create your account, and it's ready for you to download the dashboard. Now, just to emphasize on the use cases, Tableau is also offering a curated gallery of best visualizations created by the Tableau community. A couple of examples are the CNBC Digital and Grace of Family Foundation, and this visualization from NTV. It's a major news outlet in Germany, and it currently has over 17 million views, 17 million staggering views, and that is the source of truth for millions of Germans right now. And just to speak of our customers, right? If I were to classify them in 4 buckets, this is what we have. Tableau has the free, a very helpful COVID-19 data hub. The second element of that is that we're providing free e-learning to customers and partners. This is a limited offer. It's a 90-day offer. And for those of you who are interested in getting certified, we're even giving a 50% off of a desktop specialist certification. And also, one key thing to note is that depending on the situation, depending on the business you are in, you could even get free licenses after having talks with your partner and the account managers. So I encourage everyone to go through this. Just have a look at the e-learning path that we have. It's a very good, it's a great opportunity for you since you're working from home. Everyone's back at their homes trying to upskill themselves. And not to forget, we have a fancy Tableau badges. I myself did the data scientist badge. You choose to opt for any learning paths. This will definitely make sure that your knowledge on Tableau and analytics is skilled up. So we talked about this. We created a COVID-19 data hub. It's a free, publicly available set of resources. We even have a coronavirus global tracker that serves as a destination for people to quickly see what's going on globally and in each country. Now, these trackers are split across the government, healthcare, and even for the business sector. We do have a curated gallery that highlights the best visualizations from more than 15,000 visuals from the community. I hope all of this, you will find this very useful. Especially the tracks that we have, the data tracks that we have. You can download the starter workbooks. I emphasize on the fact that since everything is out there, data is out there, all you have to do is take that one further step and try to explore a little bit further. Because I'm a fan of this saying, I think most of you have already heard, the greatest challenge to advancement in technology is not technology themselves, it's us, it's people. So as long as you're curious, you have a curious mindset, you love data, please go ahead and leverage Tableau. So then it's time for you to tell your story with Tableau. We at Redington, the partners that we have, and Tableau, we encourage you to come forward, use your data, and tell your story with Tableau. Thank you for now. And that was the gist of what I wanted to share with you today. Any questions?
Jerry, if you move to the Q&A tab, there are a few questions there.
Okay. Q&A, yes. It's from Rajesh. Hi. No, it's from Alex. Were you playing the role of a salesperson? Yes, I was. I assumed the role of a salesperson handling a particular category. We are in logistic industries and a customer access portal to view their inventory and other few important reports. Is this can be extended to the customer to have dashboard, and how the licensing model works? Is this customer portal also considered for this? Okay, I'll answer your question. So there are two elements in there. With respect to the fact that whether your customer can access a dashboard, yes, we have embedded analytics in place, which is nothing but giving your analytics out to your customers. If you have your company portal, you can embed your analytics and dashboards onto your portal and then make your customers access the same. So that's totally possible. How the licensing model works? So with respect to licensing model, Tableau follows a subscription licensing model. We have three roles. One is a creator, one is an explorer, and the other is a viewer. Now the creators are the ones who's actually sitting down there and creating the workbooks and dashboards. So he or she does the groundwork. An explorer is someone who's part of middle management or a salesperson like myself, like you saw in the demo. He or she is able to analyze the data himself. He's able to discover insights himself. That's the power of an explorer. Now the viewer could be someone like a senior VP or my VP in the example of the demo that I showcased. He's just concerned with viewing what's happening. And because of the difference in these three roles, the features, capabilities are also different. So that's how the licensing model works. If you're interested in the pricing, I can ask my sales representative to give you a download of that. So I think we can have that at the end of the session. I'll move on to your next question. Do you have to be a data scientist to be able to learn Tableau? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You do not have to be a data scientist. Tableau is for everyone. It's starting right from your IT to your analyst, even with your data scientist, to your business user, to your marketer, to your finance, to your credit team, everybody. I see that Tableau approach has democratized availability of analytics. From a commercial point, as a licensing and pricing model makes it easier for customers too. Of course it does. Let me share with you this information. I think I have the tab open. Now, most of the one of the very common topics that come up with respect to pricing is competition with other products. When it comes to pricing, the initial licensing fee, as opposed to let's say a product like Power BI, may be high. Tableau may be high on that front. But if you look at your total cost of ownership, which implies that the total cost that you would incur, for example, over a 3 years period, it could be with respect to labor cost, the time spent, the resources spent. With Tableau, you could have as high as 29% in savings, right? So this is a study conducted by IIIE. It's a research agency. And what it does tell you is that as opposed to Power BI, whose licensing fee, the initial go is less compared to Tableau. Uh, Tableau is a clear winner when it comes to the TCO, because when you talk about scalability, Tableau you do not have to purchase further add-ons as you move up your ladder. With Power BI and other products, you will need to have or purchase further add-ons to do certain kinds of analysis. With Tableau, if you purchase a license, everything is integrated and you get all of that in one shot. So this is something that you need to be aware of, and we try to make our customers acquainted with this. I hope I answered that question. If it's still not clear, please do drop in the QA box. Okay, next question. I see. Is it work with structured data only? No, absolutely not. Uh, remember, I mentioned about Tableau Prep. Tableau Prep is all about structuring your data. You could say any form of data unstructured. It has very irregular text. It is unusual characters. Your data types are wrong. Your geospatial data is not mapping properly. That's why you have Tableau Prep. Now, it's also worthwhile to mention that your Tableau desktop also has data preparation capabilities. It's not behind. But Tableau Prep, however, is solely dedicated for data preparation. Yep. Do you have any more questions? So I think Saurabh is on the call. Saurabh, if you can just take them through the pricing.
Yes. So hello everyone. My name is Saurabh, and I basically manage the sales for Middle East Tableau. One important factor that I would like to cover with Mr. Rajesh Kotekar's question, which is that you know the Rajesh has customers that are outside of his organization, and he wants to provide Tableau analytics to his end customers. On top of that, how will the licensing policy works? Now, typically in this case, I'm very sure the number of end customers are going to be upwards of, let's say, 200, 500, or even upwards of 1000 people, end customers. In this case, obviously buying licenses for those 1000 end customers is not a commercially feasible option. In that case, like Jerry suggested, there is a licensing policy which covers, which is basically called embedded analytics. So just like, whenever we log into, let's say, our online banking portals, our personal banking websites, our portals, what we see there is our spending trends, where all we have invested. All of that is the dashboard that you see once you log into your online portals is nothing but analytics that the bank is providing to you. So, for example, just to give you an example, even here in Dubai, where we have some of the top banks like Emirates NBD, First Abu Dhabi Bank, they're all using Tableau to show dashboards to their end customers. So whenever I log into my, let's say, Emirates NBD online banking account, I could see a certain dashboard which covers all the important KPIs that I wish to see, and those are all built on Tableau. Here, the licensing model works on a server, on a core basis, because the number of people are going to keep increasing day by day, and it's a huge number of people that are going to access your customer portal. Embedded analytics, the core based licensing, the minimum number of cores are 8. So you start with 8, and eventually when your customer base keeps on increasing, you keep on increasing the number of cores. Let's say you go from 8 to 16 to 24 and so on and so forth. So the starting price, the list price of an 8-core machine is close to $175,000 US dollars. That is just to add to Mr. Rajesh.
And this, and embedded analytics, just to add to that, would simply look something like this. In this case, WHO has embedded their dashboard for coronavirus. This would ideally, the backdrop happen on their application and then embed that onto their portal. And this could be leveraged by their customers, just like with the banking use case that Saurabh was mentioning. Yeah, so we have more questions. Can I ingest data in Tableau as we can do in Talent. Yes, of course, you can ingest. By ingesting data, do you mean load data into databases?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thanks, Ankit, Sarah, Saurabh, and Alam for being a part of this session. And thanks to all the attendees for making time and attending. We'll drop you guys an email with the contact details of everybody from Tableau. So you guys can reach out to them in case you have any queries. So thanks again, and I hope all of you have a great day ahead.